Welcome to Seggs Talk Radio, a podcast that explores sex, kink, and intimacy through candid conversations with sex workers, researchers, and voices shaping the conversations on sexuality. This episode is brought to you by Testy, a sexual health company I founded launching early 2026, which will revolutionize same-day walk-in STI testing. Head to testy.co to get on the waitlist and get a discount on your first panel.
This is unlikely to succeed.
I know.
56% are going to end in divorce. Another 10, 20% are going to be miserable and just stay together for the kids. We started off on a dismal note.
We're going to get to sex and kink, you guys.
Good.
I promise.
That's so much better.
I promise.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I think Jim wants to
talk about divorce all day.
I know. Jim wants to talk about it.
Like if I was gay, I'd be so gay.
Yeah.
Like
I'd
live in
lean in.
Like
yeah.
I'd be like, dude, I would have like the Puerto Rican twink boyfriend with a cock sock and we'd be at Pride. Like I'd be so into it.
Yeah.
So like, trust me, this is not like, I'm closeted. Like I would not be the slightest bit closeted. I'd be so into it. Unfortunately, I know I'm still have this Achilles heel of women. God from the mountain came down and said, here's these stone tablets with 10 rules. Thou shalt not kill got one. But don't commit adultery and don't covet your neighbor's wife.
Right,
So we got two. If we're in a relationship and at the end of every week, you have to send me an email with 3 times this week that I did something that made you want to fuck me.
I like that. Like, send a calendar invite.
What's wrong with that?
Hi, guys. Today on Seggs Talk Radio, we are joined by Jim Sexton. He is a New York City divorce attorney who's been practicing family law for over 25 years. He's the author of If You're in My Office, It's Already Too Late, and How to Stay in Love, Practical Wisdom from an Unexpected Source. He hosts the Better Call Sexton podcast, where he explores love, marriage, power, and why relationships actually fall apart. You may also recognize him from interviews like The Diary of a CEO and the Lex Friedman podcast. We had a really fun and juicy conversation, and I'm excited for you guys to hear it. Jim Sexton, welcome to Seggs Talk Radio.
Thank you. It's
Long
nice to
time
be here.
coming.
I know we've been trying to make this work, and I'm glad it finally did.
You're a busy man.
Listen, it's breaking up still hard to do.
Yeah. 2025 has been a big year for you, feels like.
Yeah,
Very busy.
It's been a busy year. I mean, I don't think I've been bored since like Bill Clinton was in office. It's been a while, but
that was exciting. That was exciting.
That was an exciting
times.
time for all of us. Yeah, no, 2025 was a big year. It was a busy year with some media things, and it was, as always, a very busy year for divorce. Divorce rates are up, and that keeps us busy.
Yeah. What is it? Is it 53% or something?
It depends on how you're measuring it. The metric is either between 52 and 56% right now. And the problem with that statistic is it also takes into consideration multiple people, so people who've married and divorced. So this is their third or fourth marriage. So
it's higher with second, third divorces,
it's higher
right?
with second slightly. It's much higher with third, fourth, anything beyond second. A lot of people, their second marriage is successful because they, I'm never good at anything the first time I do it. It's like a practice marriage.
Yes.
And then your second one, you kind of know what you didn't want. So I've seen some very... And again, the divorce rate is just what marriages catastrophically failed. I actually think what's more interesting to people would be the marriage satisfaction rate. And I happen to, in my own sort of personal research of people that I know and former clients, because 25 years of doing this, I have a lot of people I did their divorce a decade or two ago, and now they're remarried, or I got invited to their wedding. I would say the marriage satisfaction rate for second marriages is probably quite high.
Okay.
Because a lot of the happiest married people I know, it's their second marriage.
Definitely. Yeah, I've never been married, but I say that I think I'd be a great second wife because I have someone's second wife. Because I think that a man that has been through that level of tumultuous, that experience and that heartbreak, I think they've done a lot of work on themselves, and I'm drawn to that.
That's true. I think
less work for me.
It's often a huge motivator for people to get into therapy, particularly men. It gives them an entry point other than a one that people would sort of traditionally think isn't a masculine frame, which is the idea of I'm in therapy because I'm going through a divorce, as opposed to I'm in therapy because I'd like to be better at figuring out who I am and understanding myself emotionally and developmentally. So I think we should get to a place in society where men can say that. I will say, as someone who was in therapy when I was getting divorced 20 years ago, when my mom died 10 years ago, and has stayed in therapy and been in therapy, I often say, like, being in therapy when your life's not on fire is a whole different experience, and I think like the most productive kind of therapy in some ways. But yeah, I mean, I think the people who've been through that kind of an experience, you walk out with a different understanding of yourself and what you want and don't want. And I think, you know, I've always said I wouldn't want to get married again, but I'm an excellent ex-husband.
There you go.
Like, I'm not a great husband.
The
skill set for a husband, you know, patience, like there's a whole bunch of things I totally lack that would make you a good husband. Ex-husband, reliable, communicative, you know, if it's a co-parent, good with the kids. But, you know, like predictable. If you say something's going to happen, it happens. If you say the check's coming, it comes. So I'm a great ex-husband. Terrible husband, great ex-husband.
There you go. Well, we got to know our strengths, you know. You know, what's interesting is I was raised really non-traditionally, kind of have hippie parents.
I find that hard to believe. No, I'm not.
And I have no like romanticization, is that a word? Of
if it isn't, we'll make it work.
Of a wedding, like of the dress and the wedding. Like I don't romanticize that like I think a lot of women do. And I'm curious what you think like that kind of fixation is on like the day and the dress and the moment. I can't relate to it personally.
That's interesting. I mean, do you like being the center of attention?
To some degree.
Okay.
I like sharing the attention. Like I don't like doing solo episodes. Like I like to co-facilitate.
I think weddings, particularly for women, are very much about you get to be the center of attention. It's sort of the experiential equivalent of the photos you frequently see on women's Instagram, which is they're standing there, clearly they're posing, clearly someone they told to take this picture.
Candid,
but instead of looking at the camera, they're like this. Or they're like if the camera's this way, they're doing this thing. And I find myself thinking like, oh, am I supposed to believe like the paparazzi caught this? Like, because you're a barista. Like, I don't think the pops are following you. But it's that sense of like, you want to be observed, but you don't want to be observed. Like, because it's like you want to be cool without trying to be cool.
Right.
So I think that a wedding is a really great opportunity for someone to be the center of attention, but kind of go, I didn't want to be like, I know we have to because it's the ceremony of all this, but I hate that I'm the center. Are you getting my good side? Like I don't want to be the center of attention, but you get to be the center of attention.
Absolutely.
So I get that. It's plausible deniability for, I think, a very human thing, like to want to celebrate. I mean, like I love weddings. Like I'll go to a wedding anytime. You need a date for a wedding, call me. I'll come to a wedding. I love the cocktail hour food.
Right.
I love everybody being all hopped up on romance and optimism and just defying
beautiful location.
It's like the marriage, like it's the triumph of faith over reason. Like it's like, like this is unlikely to succeed.
I know.
56% are going to end in divorce. Another 10, 20% are going to be miserable and just stay together for the kids. But like we're all standing there going like, and
but you guys are special. You two have something different.
But how could you not like get gassed up on like the, it's sweet, man. It's like these two people making promises to each other and like talking about how much they love each other. And, like I've said it before, like if the first time everybody in your life who you love is in one room is your funeral, you're an idiot. Yeah. There's something really cool about just having all these people together who love you and they're cheering for you. And I feel like having that kind of a party, like if that's your opportunity to do it, your excuse to do it, do it.
Yeah, I think the sentiment is more appealing, or the once in a lifetime opportunity to have those appeal together, all those people together.
Getting married is a blast. Being married, very different than that.
Absolutely.
Getting married, a lot of fun.
Do you feel like a lot of people get married when they're still in their honeymoon phase, when they're in that like excited, we love each other, we're super attracted to each other? I see a lot of pretty quick engagements in marriages happening lately, I feel like.
I think it's like I think people get in the idea of it then, and then you're in a track. It's like I signed up for college, so now I'm in.
Yes.
So it's like, now I'm just going to do this thing for 4 years. Right. I think it's the same thing. It's like we're dating, okay. Yeah. We're pretty serious, okay, let's get engaged. And when we get engaged, it's early in the relationship, there's an abundance of optimism, that we're throwing all the best sex at each other. We're doing, like we're in the previews of the movie. Like preview is the best part of the movie. Yes. Like, so it's like every good joke, every good scene, all the explosions. So you're in the previews. And then, you stay on that track because now it's like, we got engaged, and now we're gonna have an engagement party, and now we're gonna have a bridal shower, and now we're gonna have the wedding, and now we're gonna have, and you do this whole thing. and you're on just a track. And I think, it's hard for people to step off that track once you're on that track, because there's a lot of people trying to keep you on that track because it's a track they took, whether it worked for them or not.
Yes.
And so I think there's something just, I've said before that, like, in one sense, tradition is like the wisdom of people who came before us. Mm-hmm. And in another sense, tradition is peer pressure exerted by dead people. And so I think a lot of weddings is a tradition. It's peer pressure from dead people.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's something that, this made sense for your great grandmother.
Right.
Like, she was going to die in childbirth. Like, and
right.
if the elder of the tribe was, like, I'm 53, I'd be dead, or I'd be like one of the oldest people you knew. So, when you're living to 100 or 90 something years old and you're signing up for this, like, forever when you're 30, like, that's ambitious.
Right. That's a really good point. Like, marriage was created in a time when the life expectancy was, 35?
Yeah. I mean, the majority of women died in childbirth, and the majority of men died either in war or in their 40s or 50s.
And so what are people supposed to do now when they're unsatisfied sexually in a relationship because they've been married 20, 30 years, but people were supposed to only live to 35? Yeah, like, what are we supposed to do for phase 2?
They're supposed to make me money. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to get
they're
divorced.
supposed to
get
better call
James
James
Sexton. Yeah, they
Sexton.
decide they're going to try to make it work until it can't work anymore, and then they're going to try to beat the shit out of each other. And because it's their fault. It's not my fault. It's the other person's fault.
Yes.
And you took my skinny years. Or you took all of my productive years, and now you're going to take all my money. Like, it's a weaponization of intimacy, weaponization of. I mean, listen, if I could say to you right now, there is a person you can blame every negative thing about you on, every goal you failed to achieve, every dream you didn't pursue, every challenge you kind of didn't bother with.
Yeah.
It's all this person's fault, and it's not demonstrably false. Like, it's an unfalsifiable premise.
Yes.
Who wouldn't want that?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't?
Blame's an easy one.
Amazing. It'd be incredible to be able to go, like, I would have been a brain surgeon if it wasn't for the fact I was trying to support you in your career. Like, so it makes it easier.
Yes, absolutely. Well,
We started off on a dismal note.
We're going to get to sex and kink, you guys.
Good.
I promise.
That's so much better.
I promise.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I think Jim wants
to talk about divorce all day.
I know. Jim wants to talk about it.
No, I don't.
Well, something that I think a lot about, and I have, rather alternative progressive views about sex work and such as that. But
I'm aware of that.
But I really, I think that there is this point for a lot of folks 20, 30 years into a marriage where it's like they've lost the spark and they're seeking things outside of their relationship. Sure. And, one of my thoughts is, like, I personally wish that we could get to a place where sex work was, decriminalized, but also just more socially acceptable in a marriage, because there's actually a really boundaried opportunity for somebody to go see someone, get their sexual needs met, and literally never hear from that person again unless they seek them out. Yeah. Whereas I think things get really messy when, hey, this is only a sexual affair, and then all of a sudden they're in love.
My professional experience very much supports that concept. I actually have said for many years, I have trained Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for about 20 years, and so I've spent a lot of time in Brazil. And in Brazil, sex work is treated very differently. Yep. There is, garota de programa, like there's like women who work in essentially brothels.
Yes.
And,
more regulated.
Pimping is illegal, but sex work is decriminalized and legal, and there are some trainings you have to go through regarding safe sex and things like that. There's inspections that are done. Right. But it's become sort of part of the culture, the termas, which means like a spa. Yeah. And there's even sort of among men, you call it your cousin's house. So it's like, after I get out of work, I have to stop at my cousin's house. Sure. And that's sort of the Brazilian or Brazilian Portuguese term for it is, my cousin's house. Like, I'm meeting him at my cousin's house. And it really is like a professional environment. And it, I've been to several of them because I would go with groups of guys for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training, and we'd be in Rio. And, you can go to these things and just have drinks. You can go to them and they're kind of like a strip club would be. And you can sort of, dance with girls or hang out with girls. But then there's this added element of, if you'd like to like this girl or that girl or both of them or four of them, and you want to go upstairs, you can. And a lot of the men that I know, there's just, who are Brazilian from Brazil, basically say like, yeah, this has strengthened my marriage. It hasn't hurt it at all, because you sort of reach a point where if you're looking for some novelty, this is something you do. It has nothing to do with your marriage. It has nothing to do with your connection to your spouse and the ties that bind the two of you together. There's a mandatory requirement that certain safe sex protocols be followed, and there's absolutely no questioning that. Like, you can't negotiate for, we won't use a condom. There has to be very clear understandings of that. Otherwise, like, that is part of the sort of regulation of it. And, I think that that's a decent model. I think people, unfortunately, with the model we currently have, they feel connection to another person sexually. They feel an excitement towards this person, whether it's because they've lost the spark with their partner, or whether it's just novelty that they're looking for, or whether it's some aspect of their sexual self doesn't fit within the context of their relationship. So, like they would have a hard time sort of getting their particular kink on.
Yes.
And then being like, oh, by the way, did you take the recycling out? You know? And so I think that there's value to that, but I just don't know. I think we have a much more puritanical base as a society. I don't know that we'll ever get there. I think it would be disastrous for my business model if we did.
Yeah, I don't think we're necessarily close to that. I've just seen it up close and personal be helpful for folks. And I can't remember who said it, but somebody was talking about, like, you're not paying for the sex, you're paying for the person to leave in a way. And it's like you're getting a boundaried experience where there's not the confusion. Yeah,
I've heard that saying before, that you pay for the person to leave, not for them to have sex with you. But I also think that I like the idea of referring to that as a boundaried experience. I think that, because I do think the existence of boundary within the discussion kind of impairs the chemistry. So if there's a boundary that's either built into it in an institutional fashion, or there is some negotiation of that boundary prior to the
between
actual
them, husband and wife.
Between the individual and the person who they're connecting with. I think if there is some discussion of that or understanding of that, there's some environment facilitated where people get to have that, but not as like a start of like if you and I sit down and go like, okay, here's the do's and don'ts, and here's like, it's sort of, all right, we're off to kind of a very business-like
very contractual.
Right, like, so can we do that first? And then when we're together, that's out of the way now.
That's exactly how it happens.
Sort of enjoy our time together. And I think when it's institutionalized in the manner it is in Brazil, in the termas, I think there's just no question of, like, it would be a faux pas if you tried to push that boundary.
Right. I think also the problem with that, though, is that people inherently are turned on by the taboo, what they can't have. I mean, it's like, it's so naughty, we want it more. And I think
there would still be people that were having affairs with people at work, and there'd be still people having, because that's the nature. I mean, I think the familiarity of being around someone all the time, like, creates in a person like a desire, and the taboo of it creates a desire. So yeah, of course. I think that's just a human trait. I don't think that there's any way to get rid of that. But again, it could be the kind of thing that, if you can kind of unload the gun in this safer spot, maybe that holds off that. It holds off that other kind of longing, or you acting on that longing.
Right. And look, I don't want to generalize too much, but a theme that I see on the dating apps with men in my own life is this, like, if I'm on what I call the vanilla dating apps, so like Hinge and Bumble, I experience this kind of love bombing where they're so, like, it's giving relationship energy so that they can get laid, and then they kind of disappear. They get and it's not always conscious. I think biologically they want to have sex, and then afterwards like, I don't really know if I want a girlfriend. Whereas when I'm on the kinky apps, one called Field that I use, it is, people are to the point. They're very in touch with what they want. They lay out, like, I'm really only looking for a one-night stand. Is that something you're interested in? And I find I get my feelings way less hurt when there's that directness.
Yeah. It's funny, I have a number of friends that are polyamorous or ethically non-monogamous, and some of them who dipped their toe into that and then stepped out of it. And the ones who stepped out of it all stepped out of it for some version of the same reason. And that was, they said, I thought it was going to be a lot of fucking a lot of people. And it's like 5% fucking people and 95% fucking talking about it.
Yes.
And they were like, that part's just, it's too much.
Yeah.
Like, so I think, to the earlier comment about the sort of vanilla or regular dating apps, I think that's the economy a lot of people are used to in Western culture, which is I'm going to, men want sex, women want attention, affection, love.
Sure.
So I'll trade you attention, affection, and love for sex. And you'll make that same trade for me in this economy. And I don't, I'm always referring to relationships as an economy. And I think some people accuse me of being, I'm glad you do. I think most people think I'm being unromantic. I don't.
It's all a trade. People just don't want to speak to it.
Well, I think anything where you're trading value, right, is an economy. It's not a dirty word. And I think that, if we're trading apples for apples, there's no need to trade. Because I have apples, you have apples, one apple's worth one apple, we're good. But apples for coconuts, maybe one apple's worth 3 coconuts, I don't know. So that's what we have to get to. And it's worth whatever we think it's worth. And we have to sort of figure that out together. And I think that's, if you look at a successful partnership in the non-romantic setting, like Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, like Steve Jobs was an idea person with absolutely no engineering experience. Steve Wozniak was an engineer with no vision whatsoever. Individually, they would have never really accomplished anything, but together they were incredible. So when you go, well, which one contributed more? It's a ridiculous conversation because it doesn't matter. Together, they did the thing, you know? So I think in relationship, the more candid and blunt we are with ourselves and each other about what's the value we bring to this. Because I certainly understand the desire to go, well, why don't we both bring the exact same things to the relationship? I'll bring you sexual satisfaction. You'll bring me sexual satisfaction. I'll give you affection, attention. You'll give me affection, attention. I'll be a breadwinner and you'll be a breadwinner and we'll both be. Right. Okay, first of all, it's a fuck ton of expectation on everybody. You can cook and can you farm? Probably not. No, you're probably really good at one and not the other. So it's too much for everyone to carry. It may not match into everyone's natural proclivities because some people, and again, I won't gender it. Some men love to provide. They love to work. There's almost nothing in the world I enjoy more than working. I love my work. I love to be at work. I know a lot of people that are like, oh my God, I hate that. I hate being, it's not just that they don't like their job. They love to read. They love to look at art. They love to whatever. They love to cook. They love to just exist. I have no idea what to do with myself in my living room.
Oh God.
In a courtroom, I'm the happiest person in the world. In my living room, I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? I don't know.
All I want is a few hours of free time, but then when I get it, I'm very uncomfortable.
Right, you kind of go like, well, what now?
Yes, what now? Yeah.
So I think if two people can come up with an economy where it's like, okay, I'm going to be the provider and I'm going to work and I'm going to pay all of our bills. You're going to, you're going to be this place of affection and attention for me. I'm thinking very traditional sort of male female roles. How is that in any way problematic if both people are served by it?
Yes.
If either person is told this is what you have to do, I think that's a terrible box to put people in.
Definitely.
But if two people are like, yeah, I love that. It's but we live in a society, I think, at this moment where I would be less stigmatized if I said, I like to get tied up and spanked. Than if I said, I really like to work and provide and I really want a woman who wants a man to provide for her and she'll just be very sexualized to me and very available to me and we'll have this very sort of dynamic.
Traditional.
It would be oh, that's so gross. And it's how did that get weird? How am I getting kink shamed for what was 1950s standard?
Right.
And again, I understand the argument, which is, this was a very repressive, forced role.
Yes. But nowadays, if two people are opting into it, and I know a lot of progressive women that behind closed doors, I just wish a guy could take care of me. Oh, 100%. I would love to just stay home
my own experience
and look hot.
Man, I've always been, a fairly dominant man in relationship and particularly in the bedroom. And I can't tell you how many brilliant, accomplished, amazing feminist women
want to be degraded and tortured.
Throw me the fuck around, and I want you to call me every vile name. And it's okay.
And we're going to talk about it and consent before, and then we're fucking going for it.
And then after, we're going to continue to have a conversation about Bella Abzug. I don't care. We're going to talk about whatever, because we don't have to be in bed who we are in real life. We can be something, but we can bring an energy that is not part of our day-to-day connection. And we can play in that space. And I think that's a very healthy dynamic. I think there is a moment we're in culturally where there are women starting to say like, hey, I like am and will continue to be a girl boss, but I also like, I really want to sort of explore and enjoy that part of me that wants to be a little submissive and wants to be a little dominated. And, again, in certain contexts, whether it's relationship context, whether it's sexual context, whether it's both of those things.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I think, again, that's what true feminism is for men and women. It's supposed to be, hey, you can be dominant in work. You can be dominant in bed. Right. And you can also be a totally equal egalitarian partner in relationships.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be, I'm this way in all, because none of us are that way.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Like at work, it's why I always hated Facebook. When I haven't touched it in years. I don't know who has.
Where are we going with this? Okay.
Well, like Facebook, you were this forward. It's even Instagram's similar.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm supposed to be me, but a version of me that my mom, my grandma, my coworkers, strangers, everyone gets to see. Well, that's going to be a really weird, watered down version of me. Because like me when I'm out with my jujitsu buddies, me when I'm with a romantic partner, me when I'm with my sons is a very different presentation of me.
Absolutely.
So if one size has to fit all, it's going to be a weirdly homogenized version.
Trying to make a lot of people happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. In my exploration of BDSM and kink, I see a lot of that complete inverse. So when I'm in my more dominant role, the people are often very successful, high-powered men, and I know you've seen this in court as well. Yeah. And they want to be tied up and degraded, and it's this opportunity to be somebody completely different and to surrender too. I think people that are extremely sharp and on all of the time, they do crave that inverse.
And I think there's I think Trent Reznor in the song Closer sort of got the spirit of that, which is like sex is there to like tear out your reason. Like sex is there to like put you into your body and out of your fucking head.
Yes.
Because like, I don't know about you, but like the minute I wake up before my eyes even open, the barrage of thoughts.
Oh yeah.
And there's something
Here we fucking go.
Like, oh my God, make it stop. Like make it stop for a minute.
Yes.
Because all I'm thinking about is this sensation.
Yeah.
Like, or all I'm thinking about is like what's in front of me.
Definitely.
And I think that is for almost anyone. Like it's the closest any of us will get to Zen, like is that feeling of like, oh my God, I'm thinking about just this thing, just this sensation.
Oh, it's one of the very few times I'm present is in sex.
Yeah, fully
like,
present.
I am chronically online on my phone doing things, and it's the only time that my phone is, far away for a couple of hours.
I had a friend who used to say that he could tell when he was in a relationship, when in the middle of sex, he found himself thinking, man, one of these days I got to get laid.
Oh no.
Because it was the sense of that suddenly your attention was no longer singularly focused,
right.
but started being capable of wandering in a different direction while you were supposed to be fully engaged with this person. And I think that is, there was a woman who I trained Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with for many years, and she was, I think in her personal life, she identified as a lesbian. She was jacked. She was like she and I went toe to toe, and I'm 6'2" and 200 pounds, and she used to throw me around pretty good. And, in between rounds, we would chat with each other. And I said to her, like, oh, what do you do? And she said, I'm a dominatrix professionally. And
we call those muscle mommies.
I don't find that hard to believe. She's an African-American woman, very, very cut, very strong. And I laughed and I said, I guess we probably both spend a lot of time with judges. And she laughed and she was like, oh, you have no idea. And I was like, really? And she's like, oh, yeah. And I was like, well, I represent a lot of like Fortune 500 CEOs, celebrities, like a lot of high. And she was like, oh, yeah, those are like my clients.
Yes.
And we never compared client names, obviously. But she very much echoed what you just said, which is that a lot of her clients were like high-powered men in power and control positions who, wanted sexually to be dominated, wanted to be belittled, wanted to all of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And, I mean, listen, I guess it takes all kinds. I've
it does.
I've never begrudged anybody that. It is, I find your content, I've commented to you about this before, that like, Because that is just not in me.
Yeah.
Like I'm in my life, I'm very
that.
hard charging. In my life, I'm.
But you're consistent across in the bedroom
100%.
and work.
Yeah,
like
100%.
you're just
like
operating.
Yes. Cross-examination is very much about dominating a person.
Right.
And, being a professional at the level that I am and running a firm, like I'm a boss all day to my employees. But it's never inspired in me the sense of like, oh man, I want to be dominant.
I wish
like,
I could turn my
opposite.
Yeah.
It's very much like I can't really kind of imagine that.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, I didn't start off on the dominant side of things. What happened was I found that I was more experienced in kink than the dominant guys I was spending time with, and that they had seen in porn and in the movies that dominating a woman meant like aggression or violence without really understanding like the more, I don't know, subtle importance of this is an energy exchange, and this is about you trusting me enough that you can surrender and fully submit to me, but in a trusting way. Yeah. And so I had experiences where they were not violent, but like adjacent to that. Yeah. And it just kind of pissed me off of like, that's not what dominance is. Yeah. And I started kind of flipping the script. And what I liked about, like, I had to pretend to be dominant with men before I actually got to that point of feeling comfortable with it. And I had to pretend because there was so much conditioning. And so what I've found is that it's like less even about like what happens in the bedroom. It just made me a better business person. I'm building my third company right now, and it makes me more assertive on calls with sales reps that are trying to take advantage of me. Like it's bled out into all other areas of my life in a really good way.
Yeah, that's great.
But I've noticed that as the CEO role comes back, I'm like, I would love to turn my fucking brain off and be submissive, but it's hard for me to find that.
Yeah, I'd imagine it must be hard to like sort of switch in that way. You know, to be like, or to fully commit yourself to that.
Yes.
And then be able to shift in that other direction without letting go of the aspects of self that it shines a light on for you and that help you in like adjacent aspects of your life.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it may be that the reason why I have a very consistent thing is that I don't have the ability to make that switching. So maybe that switching is a superpower. Yeah. Or it could be that people are, because I a lot of my gay male friends, are versatile, or they're like absolutely a top or absolutely a bottom, more absolutely bottoms, but or bottoms.
So I've heard,
to be tops. Yeah. Well, I have a good friend who once said that Grindr is just bottoms and men claiming to be tops who are actually bottoms.
Everyone wants, all the gay guys just want to get fucked. Seems like so much more work, like to do the whole prep, all the things.
Yeah, that sounds exhausting.
Yeah, you were saying something interesting on Instagram. We were chatting a little bit about gay men being able to like pick from different gender roles and personality types. I really liked that.
Yeah, I mean, I've always I was raised in a very progressive household, so to me.
Hippies as well?
Not really hippies. My mom was kind of a hippie.
Yeah.
I'm older than you, so like my mom was a 60s hippie. My dad was a Naval Academy graduate. He was a Vietnam veteran, but he was a kind of a Reagan conservative. Yeah. And so I think I had no choice but to be a lawyer because I had to see like both sides of every issue. But they were both very like progressive in that they just, homophobia was not a thing.
Wow.
Like
that's great.
we always had a lot of like gay friends in the house and lesbian friends in the house. And, there was just this feeling of like, well, desire is very like,
fluid.
Yeah, and desire is something none of us can really explain that well, and maybe you can try to find some like, well, Freudian, maybe it was this, but the truth is like, it's all speculation. Like you kind of like what you like. If you put me in like a re-education camp and we're like, we want you to be a gay bottom, I would be like, you can keep me there as long as you want. Like I'm probably not gonna ever be like, yes, like that's who I am now. So I think that, I was raised with this idea that was not any, so, and by the way, like there are so many reasons to hate people. I always felt like race and sexual orientation were so arbitrary of a
Like
there's so many real things to just dislike humans for, that saying it was,
you're a
I don't
shitty
like
person.
Most people are shitty people. So I feel like I was raised in that sort of world. And by the time I got to college, to realize that like, kind of wasn't okay to be gay. I just remember thinking like, this seems very stupid to me.
Right.
And then the more that I got to, because I always had a lot of like gay male friends, because I think the reason is because my sister, who I was very close with, is 6 years older than me. I wasn't popular when I was young. I was kind of dorky. And I was like a dorky, short, fat kid. And I wasn't
Blow
good
up,
at
baby.
sports. I wasn't good at any of that stuff. And I wasn't good at being a like young man by the metrics that were important back then. Because again, in the 1970s, 1980s, you either were Clint Eastwood or Richard Simmons. Those were your two choices, you know.
And you were athletic
I was closer to
things.
Richard Simmons than, Clint Eastwood. Like I wasn't like a strong, So I spent a lot of time with my sister and her friends. And my sister's 6 years older than me. So when I was, 11, I was hanging out with 17-year-old girls and listening to them.
That's helpful.
And I was listening to like what they talked about when they were with their girlfriends.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, oh, okay, like this is how women are.
Right.
And then I got to college and I was incredibly comfortable talking to women and not particularly comfortable talking to men. Because I wasn't good at the like thing that guys do. But I was really good at like talking with women, like to talk about your feelings, talk about what you like, what you don't like, And all of my men I knew were like, dude, how are you so good at talking to women? And I was like, how are you so bad at
Right.
Like, what do you mean?
They haven't had any practice.
Well, whoever discovered water wasn't a fish. Like, I get it. Like, they went to like all boys Catholic schools, and I grew up talking to women, and not being talked to by men. So I was really comfortable with women. And then I found gay men were like my best friends because they were able to like enjoy the like chatty part of being a woman and the like emotive feminine part. But they also were men. So we would be like, oh, like, what are you doing for your traps? Or like, what do you like, what razor are you using? I don't know. We would talk about like guy stuff.
Right. They could go between the two.
And I just remember thinking like, wow, you guys have it locked because you can take the best of whichever role you want, whichever gender stereotypes you want, toss the rest by the wayside.
Yeah.
And so I used to jokingly say that like, I would love to be, I think I would be an amazing gay man except for the gay sex part.
Because next life. I say I want to be a gay man in my next life.
I love show tunes.
Like
I can do all the Rodgers and Hammerstein ones. I can do the whole thing. I love like, like even like a bathhouse sounds fun. Like, let's go. I love going to the Russian spas and stuff. Like, just when you bring in the gay part, I'm kind of like, okay, like that part I'm not, but that's really not, it's in no way based in homophobia.
Of course.
Like I have a very
You're straight.
I have a very dear, listen, would that it were not so.
I know.
I secretly, I think I would be great at being a gay man.
Yes.
I have a good friend who is Italian from Italy. And one of the things that, culturally they do is they give you, the kiss on both sides when they say hello. And I remember like the first time he kissed me here, and I remember feeling his beard on my face. And my body just went, oh, I don't like that. Yeah. Like, I don't like ham and I don't like that. Those are two things I don't like, and I don't know why I don't like them.
You wished you were open to it.
I kind of do. I think, but what's funny is, the internet obviously loves to attack anyone, particularly any man with an emotional vocabulary. So anytime I've like been on a show and talked about anything emotional or gotten choked up talking about something, the comments are immediately like, this guy's gay, this guy's gay. And
wow.
I always kind of want to say to them like, dude, like if I was gay, I'd be so gay.
Yeah.
Like
I'd blend in.
Like I'd be like, dude, I would have like the Puerto Rican twink boyfriend with a cock sock and we'd be at Pride. Like I'd be so into it.
Yeah.
So like, trust me, this is not like, oh, I'm closeted. Like I would not be the slightest bit closeted. I'd be so into it. Unfortunately, I know I'm still have this Achilles heel of women.
Yeah, that when things hit that side of the internet, it's so funny because most women that I know want really emotionally attuned, emotionally intelligent men. Like that is an appeal and a turn on for most women. So
if my DMs are any indication of that, yes, it's true. Yeah.
Yes. Fun. Do you have some fun DMs?
I get a lot of DMs. I have figured out, I have to tell you, I have figured out that if you are a man with who is articulate and has an emotional vocabulary, it doesn't matter that you're 53. It doesn't matter that you're like suddenly like women are very like, wow, you're amazing. Like, and I really wish young men would figure this out. Sure. Like, because guys, if this is a cautionary tale, like get out there and figure that out because it really is like, there's something about me has resonated with women in a way that also leads to them sort of sexualizing me.
Sure.
And
you said in something I was listening to that you would be unimpressed by you if you were a woman, though.
I think so.
I don't know. I think you're pretty cool.
Oh, I appreciate that. I think I'm pretty cool, but I think if you're talking about sort of like, you know, sexual energy, sexual performance, I don't think I am a believer in the fact that sexual vanity in a man over the age of 40 is the first sign of senility. Like I genuinely believe that like your peak sexuality as a man is your 20s, your 30s. Like,
oh, interesting.
Those are, I think, from a physiological standpoint. Like from the like we're gonna fuck all night.
Yes.
That sounds
for the man
horrifying to me.
For the man, but from a woman's perspective, I think we sexualize men in their 40s and 50s the most.
Maybe
because it becomes this like value, like you have, in my perception, men gain more societal value, 30s, 40s, 50s. They're accruing wealth and knowledge and status. Sure. And I see it as women's most kind of valuable, if we're talking about it as an economy, their most valuable is like 20s and 30s. And so I think that there's a lot of attraction between those two kinds of categories.
Yeah.
And at least myself and a lot of other women I know, and again, whether or not anybody would be comfortable saying it, oh, he has more money, he has more this, and this, I think it creates an attraction for women.
The money is also, it's an indicator of something because money is about control, money is about security, money is about, you know, I'm sure you know the old saying that was misattributed to Oscar Wilde that, you know, everything in the world is about sex except for sex, which is about power.
Ooh, I like that one.
And I think that it is true that everything is about sex, but I don't think sex is about sex. Like I think sex is about power, sex is about play, sex is about is about a lot of other things. And so when I say like I don't understand why I would be sexualized.
Humble man.
No, it really isn't like a false humility. It really is a sense of, I think because as a man, I'm very visual. And so like what most men objectify is beauty and youth and things like that.
Right.
Whereas I think with women, again, I'm generalizing, there is a much more complex equation happening there.
Yes.
And so I have no idea really. I mean, all of the things you just said make sense to me.
Yeah.
But like the idea of like security, the idea of success and status, how that would make me more enjoyable in the bedroom is strange to me.
Right.
Because I understand why that would be, we could have a wonderful night out together.
Right.
I have more money and access.
Yeah.
And I would have the ability to be like, oh, here's this amazing restaurant I know, and I know the guy there.
Right.
And like you'd have an experience that would be like,
but
oh my goodness, which is phenomenal foreplay.
Right. But that's more important to women. That is more important to women than the sex.
That maybe is what you're on to. Yeah. Is the broader
like I don't really care.
experience.
Maybe the women are like, I don't really care what you're like in the bedroom, but we're going to have this experience together, and I know you're smart.
Yeah. So I like that. I think that makes sense.
Great.
No, we're getting to the bottom of it, I think,
right.
Because I think that makes a lot of sense to me. That
it's about how a man makes a woman feel.
The sexual experience is broadened from we're in the room with our clothes off and enjoying friction, is broadened to from the minute we're planning or I'm planning this thing and I'm going to tell you where we're going, but I'm going to pick the place, but I'm going to pick the place I know you'll love, ideally that you didn't know you're going to love, but I knew you're going to love. And then that's going to be like this sort of like pleasure dom kind of a thing that extrapolates to, I just learned that term, because somebody wrote in the comments and it was brought to my attention, I said something about, I don't know what I had commented on. I talk so much that I sometimes can't remember anything I said. But I said something and someone went, oh, Sexton's a pleasure dom. And I was like, what is that? And then I Googled it and I was like, oh yeah, I guess so. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty close, you know, so. There's
pleasure dom, but I could also see you enjoying, I'm going to psychoanalyze you for a moment. I think I could also see you enjoying being a high control dom. So this gets even to the point of contracts and contractual. When I was first exploring, I had this dom and it was like, and I mean, this is kind of pleasure dom focused, but it's like he wanted me to become the best version of myself. So I texted him every day at 7 a.m. If I was a minute late, I was in trouble. But I texted him because I wanted to get better sleep. And then I sent proof that I was at the gym because I wanted to get in shape.
So he became like an accountability partner.
Yes, absolutely. But then there's like a kinking component. If I'm good, if I'm bad. But I don't know. I think there's a line between lawyer and like good control dom.
What's interesting about that is like the punishment aspect is less interesting to me than the yearning for praise. Like the earning.
Well, I think that's what the sub
earning
wants.
my praise would be hotter to me.
Yes, I mean,
oh, good girl. Like that's hotter. Than like you're going to be punished because you got it wrong.
Well, and again,
like it's more of the I know you could do better than that.
Exactly.
Like that's very because I've always said because clients always we're making a jump here, but clients anytime I jump from something sexual to something work related, it gets very. But I was talking to someone about parenting the other day.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, my co-parent told our son, he was stupid. And I said, oh, that's terrible. I said, wait, what did he say? And he said, oh, he said stop acting stupid. And I said, well, wait a minute. That's not the same thing as telling your son he's stupid. Like if I say, you're stupid, I'm saying you're stupid. If I say, stop acting stupid, technically what I'm saying is you're not stupid. So stop
you're being
acting
it right
like
now.
a stupid person.
Yeah.
Because you're not stupid. So to me, that's the distinction of not I know you could do better than that.
Yeah.
Is like an aspiration because I'm saying I have tremendous confidence in you.
Right.
Maybe you don't, but I do. And so, I want you to give me your best and show me what you can do. And then you'll earn praise. And that to me, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and I think kink dynamics are fun because it's actually not as much about sex or traditional penetrative sex as you think. It's this energy, it's this buildup, it's different. And again, we were talking about women wanting more of the experience and the buildup. It can be how refreshing to spend time with a man where it is more about this bigger picture and dynamic and energy than that.
And I think for men, part of what I think that type of a dynamic because so much of, again, in my communications with men, whether it's personally or professionally, there's this feeling of I'm not sure what's expected of me.
Yeah.
If I'm going to, if I expect that we're going to have some kind of sexual experience together, that's sort of boorish of me. But I'm sort of expected to treat you in this very very indulgent way.
Right.
Without any clarification as to whether there'll be some indulgence moved in my direction as well. And so I think that's where it becomes challenging for people to negotiate that space. And figure out what that looks like. And it's hard for it to happen organically when people are so afraid of doing it wrong, And I think we just have to give each other, I think the greatest failure we've made tremendous progress on so many things in the last decade or two. I really believe that.
Yeah.
I remember thinking marriage equality was just never going to happen. And I was part of Lavender Law and part of the community of lawyers that was very dedicated to okay, how do we create marriage-like contracts for people that don't have access to marriage?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden it was real.
Right.
All of a sudden, the fact that recreational cannabis is legal and the fact that marriage
buy
equality,
weed and have
I never thought
gay
in
marriage.
my lifetime that would happen.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think has really come from that growth as a society is that, we're allowed to sort of talk about some of these things a little bit more and a little bit better. But we've eliminated in the last decade the concept of a faux pas. Where someone just says something and what they said wasn't the right thing to say. Yeah. But rather than going, oh, you're a terrible person who needs to be canceled.
I know.
We don't just go oh, you kind of got that wrong. You made a faux pas.
Right.
And give them a chance to go, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. That, yeah, you're right. I didn't realize that was the wrong thing to say.
Yes.
And then you allow a path to redemption, So I feel if we could get back to a place, because the stakes feel so high.
I get scared every time I post something. I mean, truly. It's and I've been doing content one way or another for a decade, but it's especially being in such sensitive kind of subject matter areas, I get nervous every time I post something. Yeah. I go, am I going to get in fucking trouble for this?
Give yourself time. One of the greatest things about getting older, I can tell you'll get there eventually.
You care less?
You don't give a fuck.
Give a shit, yeah.
Yeah, and especially if you're really good at what you do. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty convinced that if my clients were found out that I was the worst human being in the world, they'd be I don't care, you can get me custody of my kid, right?
Yeah.
Because they want me to be good at what I do.
Yes.
And look, if I was having surgery and it was like important surgery. And they were like, by the way,
Want the best
surgeon's
guy.
a racist.
Yeah.
I'd be like, cool, I'm not inviting him over for dinner. Like, I just want this, I want to wake up from surgery. That's what I would like, you know? So do I want to support him financially? I'd rather not, but you know what? I want to survive surgery. So I feel like we've got to create space where people can, get it wrong in relationship and not be like ostracized or canceled or felt like they're going to get put on blast in a way that's going to ruin the prospects of ever trying to try it again and get it right.
Right, definitely. Before we wrap up, I would love to talk a little bit about infidelity. I know you talk about this a lot as
PhD
well. Yes, I know. I think you said that like 90% of the cases that come across your desk involve it, but I don't think is that necessarily indicative of all divorce cases?
I think the overwhelming majority of divorces, infidelity has had some component.
Okay.
I don't believe that it's a cause. I think it's a symptom.
Yeah.
But I think, there's some component, whether it's that there had been dalliances in the marriage or affairs in the marriage and the person overlooked it.
Right.
And now they're divorcing for some other reason. But that old stuff is coming up and being sort of like, I put up with this shit.
Yeah.
And my reward is this, like, wow, and so there's some of that. But yeah, I mean, look, I represent the cheater, the cheated on, the mutually cheating, the paramour, mistress or whatever you want to call it. I've really seen it from every angle.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just mostly just people.
Yep.
Like trying to figure it out, trying to feel love, trying to feel connection.
Yeah. And I mean, you said something, it was an analogy about firefighting. Like people are so shocked when the firefighter goes to a burning house or gets hurt in a fire. And it's like, but we're so shocked when those two people that we saw on the stand, yet it's all around us.
Well, people just will come into my office and they'll, sit across from me and they'll tell me their story because it's part of my job. And they'll have this sort of like shocked indignance of like, and he was cheating on me. And
you're like, babe, I know.
I'll look at them and go like,
I know, honey.
like there's sort of an assumption of risk here.
Yeah.
Like, and the analogy I've used of a firefighter is, look, I when 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
Like if you're a trader at Cantor Fitzgerald at the top of the World Trade Center, when you went to work that day, nothing in your brain went, I might die in a fire today.
Yeah.
But when you went to work as a firefighter,
sure,
you were absolutely conscious that was likely, if not, it was possible, if not likely.
Yep.
Now, again, no less of a tragedy. In some ways, how heroic.
Yeah.
That you would every day get up and do a job where you're like, I might die today trying to help someone. Like, I'm so grateful we have people in the world who would do that. Like, they're braver than me. That's incredible. Right. But if you say, this firefighter died in a fire, right, like that happens. Like that's what makes that job so incredibly brave is that is a risk they assumed. Like they took on that risk. They said, I might do this, I might die, try to save you. Incredible. When you marry, I don't care who you marry. I don't care if they're the most religious person. I don't care if they have no libido. I don't care if they swore up and down on a stack of Bibles. Like it's entirely possible, if not likely, they're going to cheat on you. Like that's the nature of humans. Like humans are bad. I think infidelity as a technology probably was invented 30 to 60 seconds after monogamy. Like in some cave, there was some fucking, and then the guy went, we should do this more. And she was like, we absolutely should. We shouldn't even do it with other people. No, we should do it together. And he was like, I'm going to go out and try to get an elk for us to eat. And he walked out and saw a cute woman in the other cave. And he was like, I'm going to see if I can have it. And that was it. I think that was the start. And if you need any better proof than that, I'm not a religious person, but I've always said, like, theoretically, God from the mountain came down and said, here's these stone tablets with 10 rules. Thou shalt not kill got one. But don't commit adultery and don't covet your neighbor's wife.
Right.
Like, so it got two. It
sounds like someone was a little triggered writing those.
It sounds like, I think what it is if God was in fact speaking to us. Yeah. I think he was trying to say, like, listen, guys, don't kill, honor the Sabbath, honor your mother and father. Like, don't fuck other people. Seriously. All that other stuff, yes. Don't fuck other people. Like I'm going to make
You're going to want to.
Right. So whether you're religious or not.
Right.
Like for thousands of years, this has been a problem. So to turn around and say, like, I can't believe this person cheated on me, that seems nuts to me. That seems nuts to me that you would say.
Yeah. Well, I think everyone thinks they're really special, and I think they think that their love is really, really special.
But and they are really special, just like everyone else.
Yeah.
Like just like the other 8 billion other beautiful and unique snowflakes in the world. Like we're all very special, and that makes us in no way special.
Right. Absolutely. You mentioned in a clip I saw some kinky things that people had gotten busted for.
Oh, yeah.
What has that looked like? And have those experiences of someone being, I caught him going to a dominatrix and now we're getting divorced? Or do you ever see opportunities where the woman is like, gendered here, like, yeah, it's okay he does that. I don't want to do that to him. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, there's plenty of that. There's plenty of both. So there's plenty of people who are in like the private lives of public figures, like people who you would not necessarily think in their presentation publicly or in their marriage, like they didn't present as someone who was like just like a nasty, like, but you know, again, sometimes that really is that like, you know, they've been pushing this thing down. I've had a lot of cases where, you know, men were kind of in the closet or they had, whether they identify as homosexual or not, that they had same-sex attraction, and at some point in their adult life, they were like, you know, I want to try this out. Yeah. Like when Grindr came out, I think there were a lot of, you know, identified as heterosexual men.
Oh, there still are.
They
are
like,
busy.
Hey, you know, it might be fun to like see what it's like to get a blowjob from a guy. You know, like he's got a penis, he might know how to do it better.
Yes.
So I don't know that made them gay. Like having to try to explain to a client whose husband like had a same-sex experience, like he might not be gay. He might have just been curious or he might have just been having this experience, you know. I just, that's not easy for someone to do.
Of course.
Like, because everybody wants to be able to be like, nope, this is the person's fault. And like, we want to make sense and meaning of the world around us. And the easiest way to do that is to reduce it to pro wrestling. Good guys, bad guys, villains, heroes, like, and so gay, straight, like, wait, no, there's boxes. And like, it's an easier world to navigate if everybody stays in a box, because then I understand where they are, you know, and I feel safer.
Yep.
But I think we all know that that's not how, you know, human emotional complexity works.
Yeah.
Then there are people that I think the ties between them are so developed, like that they're just like, listen, our life, our love is our home, our children, our pets, our shared history, our love of these same things. Yeah, and maybe we're not as interested in each other sexually, or maybe we were never that compatible sexually. So if you want to like find that, whether it's a like don't ask, don't tell, like don't bring it home.
Yep.
Or whether it's okay, like we'll have a spoken understanding that we can explore that. Right. Or whether it's part of their dynamic of like, okay, I want to share that together and like talk about it with each other. Yeah. I think there's lots of versions of it. I do know I have a lot of, not to gender it, but there are a lot of men who step out with a lot of love for their wife. But just the sense of, look, we're just not connected in that way.
Or not having sex at all anymore.
Yeah, or we're having like wildly unfulfilling sex.
Yes.
You know, like it's like Chris Rock said, like, you know, like I haven't had a blowjob in years. I've had fellatio, but I haven't had a blowjob, you know? Like, and we all know the difference. Like there's a difference between like, did you have sex or did you fuck? Yeah. Because they're two different things, you know? And so I think sometimes in long-term relationships, people with good intentions fall into, you know, I have a whole theory on this I talk about in my book where I think people ruin their own sex lives, like with good intentions. Because I think when you start dating, like when we start dating, I'm going to throw everything I've got at you.
Sure.
Like I'm going to, all the things that ever worked on anybody else.
Right.
You know, because what else would you do, right? Yeah. Like you're going to throw stuff at me. You're like, oh, here's some things that a guy like Jim, like in the past, like has liked. And then you're going to gauge from my reaction, like, oh yeah, he likes that. Or like, okay, he wasn't super into that. And I'm going to do the same.
Yes.
Okay. So now what are we going to do? We're going to do what humans do. We're going to get more efficient. Like I'm not going to, you know, play the hits, right?
We're going to keep doing both
play
things.
The hits.
Yes.
Like you go see Bruce Springsteen, play Born to Run, man. Yeah. Play that. Once in a while you want to do like acoustic Ghost of Tom Joad, go ahead, but like for your own indulgence. But like if we're trying to be like, I'm on a tight schedule, like let's have fun.
And then we're bored.
Right. But well, now what we've done is we're doing the same things in roughly the same order, which by the way are the things you like best and I like best.
Right.
We've created a routine.
Right.
And now in many relationship dynamics,
Right.
if you do something different, you feel weird. Because it's like, wait, why did you do that? You'd never do that. Like, why did you?
Why didn't you tell me that you liked that thing? We've been doing this for so long.
And so this turns into a whole thing. And now all of a sudden we're so far from where we wanted to be. One of the things I talk about in my book, because again, I'm a lawyer, so I'm comfortable in manipulating people's emotional state. It's kind of the job. Make a judge feel good about my client, make the other side feel scared, make my client feel safe. Like I manipulate people's emotional state for a living.
It's a lot of fucking work. Whew.
It is, but it's also like what I do.
It's also fun.
Super comfortable
Sounds
there.
fun.
Yeah, and I'm good at it. So, the truth is, like, I think you can leverage that in your personal life. Like I've always said, like, I think scrupulous honesty is overrated. I think that there's usually between lying and a little bit of bullshit. Like a little bit of bullshit's okay. Like lying is not necessarily great. But I do think that, for example, with your partner, like if you're in a long-term relationship and there is some kink or something you want to try and you know that if you just call an audible and try it, it's going to be weird.
Right.
I've always said a great way to do it is, oh my God, I dream I had about you last. I can't even look at you in the eye.
Yes.
I can't even, wait, what? No, I honestly, I can't even tell you. Tell me any woman wouldn't go, no, what
were we
was it?
doing?
And then if I describe whatever it was I've been fantasizing about, if she goes, is that something you'd want to do? And I go, I mean, I don't, maybe somewhere in my subconscious, I guess it was pretty fun. Like, or if she goes, oh my God, I would never want to do that. You go, yeah, no, I know that's so weird. I guess I ate dairy before I went to bed. I'll have to remember that. But it really, I think, creates a very safe entry point for a dialogue that doesn't bring out something
third party.
defensive.
If you can put it on a third party, or even like there are these gift like sex boxes for couples. Even if you could say, oh well, this toy's in there, let's give it a try.
But automatically suggests that there is something lacking.
Right.
Like if I buy something for you. Then it becomes like, oh, I felt like we needed something. And sometimes that will bring out something defensive in the other person. And again,
it will.
If the purpose of the relationship is for us to like feel deeply connected, if we take joy in our partner feeling loved and seen and pleased and desired, we don't want our partner to feel defensive and self-conscious. Of
course.
So if there's a way to do it that's going to not have those negative second order effects, like why not? Why not do that?
Yeah. So this is a very simplified question, but for like, let's say a millennial getting married right now, what can they do proactively in the early years of their relationship to mitigate potential infidelity or divorce? A great question.
I think first of all, like have a realistic approach to it.
Yeah.
Like recognize from the beginning, we don't do ourselves any favors pretending that reality isn't real. Like I think our lives would be better if we acknowledged we're all going to die. If we acknowledge,
we're so against that in our culture.
100 years from now, no one you love and no one who loves you will be alive. We would probably view the day differently.
For sure.
And so I think there is something to learn from that about love. And that is, love is never permanently gifted, it's loaned. And loving anything means you're going to open yourself to the inevitability of losing it.
Yeah.
And it's worth it. Because it's worth it to like have felt it and experienced it. And you've signed up for that. Like you've said, yep, I'm going to take the pain in exchange for the joy and the beauty that's going to come with this thing.
Right.
I think early on in a relationship, if you were to say to each other, look, part of what makes us so wonderful to me, because you're a great roommate, you're a great friend, you're a great, but I want to fuck you. And I love that you
That's what makes it romantic,
and
you
I
guys.
love that you and I have this connection.
Yeah.
And man, I want to keep it. Like, I want to keep it. It's so important to me. I hope it's important to you. Because otherwise, what the fuck are we doing getting married? Like we're getting, if you just have a roommate, it's okay. Like if you don't have to have sex with each other. Like, so if part of what makes this so valuable, so from the beginning, emphasize to each other, hey, this is an important piece of what we're doing with each other.
Yes.
And I want to be good at this.
Yes.
Like if you're getting married, if you're saying out of 8 billion choices, I'm picking you, then you want to be good at it. So let's figure out, let's build into the equation how we're going to check in on this stuff.
On sex,
whether it's a
specifically?
Weekly, on everything, actually. But sex, definitely. Sex is the glue.
You got to talk about it. So many couples don't talk about sex at all. It's just this act that happens. And they don't even really know how or have the communication skills to talk about it. Like sit down and talk about it.
But I think that if you do it early and often, you'll get used to it. Like, I think that it can become something very comfortable. It can become, by the way, if it's done
playful,
the right
too.
way.
It can be
if
foreplay.
It's done the right way, right, it can be foreplay.
Yes.
It can be an enjoyable experience.
Yes.
If at the end of, if we're in a relationship and at the end of every week, you have to send me an email with 3 times this week that I did something that made you want to fuck me.
I like that.
Like,
send a calendar invite.
What's wrong with that? Like, what's wrong with saying like, yeah, well, you were, because here's the other thing. I bet we would never have guessed it. Like, because sometimes what brings out desire in the other person, like if I was, like
sexual psyche's
if
very.
the answer was like, you were like walking up to the counter after you got out of work and your tie was like a little loosened and you're like, picked up the thing and your arms looked good. Okay. Like,
all right.
I really didn't know that.
Let me go do more of that.
But okay, so now I know. Like, that's cool. Like, that was, so I think if you made it part of the practice of your relationship, mindfulness of here's some things. And by the way, you might even, if you're strong enough as a person, what are some things I did this week that turned you off?
Yeah.
Like, what are a couple of things this week that I did
feedback
that, like,
is so, being able to deliver feedback to a partner is so fucking important.
And again, not from a place of, because this
lacking.
is what fucks it up, is people go, we're not having sex like we used to. Or, when we first started dating, you used to give me blowjobs all the time. And now, like, what is it, my birthday? I'm going to get one? Like, the rest of the time, it's just we're having sex. Like, when did you stop giving me blowjobs? Now, your response is going to be, well, I'm never around you anymore. Well, back
and
then.
ABC.
When's the last time you used to send me flowers all the time? You used to send me notes and tell me how pretty I was. When's the fucking last time you did? And now we're just
in a blowout
spiral. Yeah. No, we're just in a death spiral.
Yeah.
Because you know what? You're right. You don't owe me a blowjob. I don't owe you compliments. Great. You know what? We don't owe each other a goddamn thing.
And it already sounds like we're in court.
So why are we doing this? Like, but if the idea is we are going to have this economy together, then why wouldn't you want to say like, hey, let's parse this in a way that we both hear it as you're so important to me. And this is so important to me.
Right.
And like, I want you to be the object of my desire. I don't want it to be someone on a computer screen or a person at work. I want it to be you. And how will we maintain that? Well, we'll maintain that by you continuing to be something I can objectify. And I'll be something that but again, wanting to be objectified.
Right. No.
Like wanting to be the object of my desire. When I think about sex, I should be thinking about you.
Right.
And that is what, like, and cultivating that environment, hearing it as here are the things you do that make you an object of my desire.
Yes.
Who wouldn't want that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that's what I would say to any millennial is like, I'm sorry you have to say this stuff out loud, but I'm not sorry because like embrace it. Like it could be half the fun of it. It could be an incredible turn on probably to talk about that
I'm still thinking
stuff.
about the email or sending somebody an email while they're at work, like making it playful and fun and teasing. And you don't know those little moments that are going to excite someone or it's not even just about the sex. It's what is important to that other person.
I work in an office with a lot of women. And I feel sometimes like Margaret Mead. Like I feel like I'm like studying the Yanomamo tribe. Like, cause I just don't, like I listen to them talking.
Are they well, they probably aren't vulgar around you.
No, they're not vulgar.
You're
they have very thin walls in the office, so sometimes they just think they're talking to each other.
I'm always shocked by, and maybe obviously I have a sex podcast and my friends are a little out there, but even in other circles, I am so surprised by how women talk about sex and men talk about sex very differently with their friends. And it's actually quite conservative compared to the way the women.
Younger, like 20s, 30s women are like, they're to each other like in ways men don't.
It's wild. Men are just like, she's really hot and I fucked her.
She's really hot or she's really good in bed or whatever. Like, but women are like really explicit and they're like showing each other the dick pics they got. Like I've never sent a dick pic and boy, I never would. Because I tell you, they show them they showed them to each other because a lot of them are totally unsolicited, Yeah. And they're like, look at this one. I actually have one of my employees who replaces the head of the penis with a cat head.
From dick pics she receives?
Yeah, so she'll receive like unsolicited dick pics from dudes and then she'll just
put
like Photoshop
in
a cat, a cat's face. So it's just a shaft and then a cat. It's the funniest thing ever. I think she should make a book of it. But she, listening to them talk, some of the shit they say, I really feel like I'm paying attention, like I'm I'm doing ethnographic research because the one that stands out is I remember there's one of them said something about like he was wearing like a t-shirt, but he had like, it was like a white t-shirt, but he was wearing, I think either like a St. Michael's medal or like a cross, but there was like a little bump in the t-shirt where it was. And the one girl was like, oh, I think that's so hot. And she was like, I know, right? And I was like,
What?
That's
so specific.
It's so specific.
Yeah.
The other girl was like, oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's so hot when they do that.
Like she was like, oh yeah, I met him at the restaurant. And then when I walked in, he like went to stand up. And then he like wasn't sure if he should stand up, so he sat back down. She was like, and it was so kind of adorably awkward.
Yeah.
And the girl was like, oh, I love that. I was like, what? Guys, like this, that guy did not register on his radar that this might actually.
This is why you need the email. You need the check-in. You have no idea what you're doing that makes them excited. There's this phenomenon that I'm noticing, and this is again kind of on the more raunchy apps, I suppose. But it's this intense fear of like blackmail and extortion, and I'm hearing a lot of stories from young men, very young men, that almost all have a similar story of I started chatting with this fucking bot on this app,
that is happening,
and then their aunt is, they're getting screenshots of their Facebook familial tree.
A lot of that happening.
What the? Is there anything that can be done about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's illegal.
Yeah,
and I mean, so there are law enforcement remedies for it. I do, I represent a lot of very high net worth individuals. So there are a lot of people that
they send dick pics too, though.
That do NDAs now, though.
Okay.
So I was
between partners.
Yeah, there was just
sexual
an article
partners?
in New York Magazine a couple months ago. It was the cover story, and I was extensively quoted in it because I was talking a lot about how many NDAs I'm doing for like high-end finance bros. Yeah. And
do you think the women are understanding what they're signing? Do you think they?
I'd like to think they are. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
It really is. And by the way, some of them are women. I do have some women executives who and celebrities who make men they're dating sign NDAs because they don't want, for example, this guy, if they break up, to be like, oh, and here's what meds she's on, and she's on, and this
and
is
call
what,
up TMZ.
This is what surgery she's had, and this is what so these are things that could really hurt someone's career.
Definitely.
And like I did one for a professional athlete recently who, he's in talks with other teams of like going from one team to another, and a woman he's dating is gonna like hear him on the phone. And so that could literally be some of my C-suite executive clients, like they could move the stock market with things. So someone who they're dating, hearing, oh, that company's gonna get bought by this company, like I could buy that stock right now or tell my friends to buy that stock. So
insider
NDAs
trading.
have become incredibly more prolific in the dating world. What I will say of like younger people now, people in their 20s and 30s and mostly 30s, even early 40s, there is a pragmatism in you guys that I think is like amazing, and I'm kind of proud of for you, because we're doing way more prenups than I've ever done before.
Yes.
I own a company called Trusted Prenup.
Plug it. Yeah.
That does we're democratizing prenups. And
amazing.
Like the number of people in their 30s who are getting prenups is through the roof.
Good.
And I think that NDAs is an example of that. Like there's much more of a pragmatic approach to relationship and saying like, hey, like this is where we are right now. Maybe we'll stay here, maybe we won't. But how do we make, and you know what, the reason I've always said that prenups to me are romantic is I think to feel loved, you have to feel safe.
For sure.
I think to like let go and be authentically yourself, whether in the bedroom or at the dinner table, you have to feel safe. And I think that prenups are about feeling safe. They're about saying to this person, I want to protect you from anyone who would hurt you, including me. Like if some future version of me was angry at you, I want to protect you from that.
Yeah.
And that should make anyone feel loved, and that it should be a fundamental, because I've done a tremendous amount of representation of women in particular who've been victims of intimate partner abuse, domestic violence, coercive control. And you realize like when someone feels unsafe in their relationship, physically, emotionally, financially, like how unbelievably harmful that is, and how it is literally the opposite of love. Because really the opposite of any love that's worth anything is a sense of like, I'm going to support you. I'm going to be here for you. I want you to become the most authentic version of yourself possible and help me become the most authentic version of me possible. And maybe like that's the goal, is like for us to just help each other figure out who the fuck we are, you know, and become it. And I feel like, prenups are an invitation to saying, what makes you feel unsafe, you know? And it's like, well, I had a lot when we came into this relationship, and I'm afraid that like if you left me, you would take half of it.
Sure.
That seems fair.
It also opens up really honest communication at the beginning of a series.
But I think most people would say, oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
But then the corollary is if the other person said, but you understand, I'm with you and you have a lot of money, so I'm not going to make my focus making money. I'm going to make my focus being with you. And I'm going to be able to do the things I want to do because you've encouraged me that I don't have to go find a miserable job to make as much money as I can because you make lots of money. So you've encouraged me to pursue my art or pursue my writing or pursue my yoga teaching or whatever it might be. And so I'm going to rely on that.
Yes.
So if things ever change, like I don't want to be in like a fundamentally worse position and I'm way behind in a race that I'll never catch up on.
Right.
Most people would go, it's fair.
Yeah.
It's a fair comment.
Yeah.
Great. How do we solve it?
The
only way that matters is how these two people figured it out, how they want to do it. Because every marriage has a prenup. It's either one written by the government or by the two people that like each other more than the other 8 billion other options. And so for me, that's an invitation to having a discussion about what value do we bring? How do we make each other feel safe and loved?
Right.
And I think anytime you have that opportunity, it's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, sign your prenups, dear millennials.
It
Sounds like you're doing it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today. This has been wonderful. Thanks for
fun.
spending your New Year's Eve here.
Absolutely.
Do you have any fun plans tonight?
I'm going to be in bed by about 8, maybe 8:30.
There we go.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen...
Haven't seen the ball drop in a while?
The ball drop? Somebody said to me the other day, they're like, do you want to meet at 9? I was like, there's one of those at night? Like, I get up at 4 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Every day.
Holy shit.
Without an alarm clock. And I wake up like this.
Okay.
Like I wake up just at it. About 7 p.m., people think I'm drunk at about 7. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just I just
It's bedtime.
I'm exhausted because I've been at it for, 13, 14 hours. So
all right. Well, no New Year's
enjoy
plans.
whatever it is that you
Thank
do.
you
Well,
so
I think
much.
those are excellent New Year's plans.
Yes. It's most of mine. I'm sober. I don't drink. So I'm usually about the same.
Really, but I am someone who I normally enjoy, like on a Tuesday night, go out to dinner at like 5.
Yes.
And then be in bed by 8 like civilized people.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify, Apple, and or YouTube, as well as on Instagram at Seggs Talk Radio. That's Seggs, Seggs. And before you go, head over to testy.co to join the waitlist for our 2026 launch. We are reinventing same-day walk-in STI testing nationwide.